Welcome to the podcast CSR Partnerships for Innovation. I'm Chintan Vaishnav, Mission Director for Atal Innovation Mission at the Niti Aayog, and we are delighted to unveil this podcast series in collaboration with Sattva Consulting, hosted by their dynamic and hands-on CEO, Shri Krishna Sridhar Murthy. We are excited to embark on this journey with you as we navigate the fascinating realm where innovation meets CSR. So thank you for tuning in. Hope you enjoy it.
In a world driven by innovation and fueled by entrepreneurial spirit, India has emerged as a vibrant hub for cutting edge ideas and groundbreaking initiatives. From villages to large metropolitans, the country is witnessing a remarkable surge in startups and innovation focused ventures across diverse sectors. Innovation, when channeled properly, can create large scale societal impact. India has also been a home for one of the most active CSR ecosystems, thanks to the regulation in CSR that was introduced a few years ago. We believe CSR can play a very important role in fueling the innovation towards societal change, and we hope to explore how the CSR ecosystem and the world of innovation are coming together to build a better India. In this episode of CSR Partnerships for Innovation, we have with us Neha Jain from Akamai, who shares with us the story of how Akamai's flagship program got started and how Akamai is evolving their CSR strategy at the intersection of technology and impact. With Akamai's focus on innovation and their earnest efforts to encourage, mentor, and fund entrepreneurs with incredible solutions, Neha shares how her story has evolved with Akamai's CSR innovation journey. Neha Jain is the Director of Operations and Innovation and co-chair of the CSR Trust at Akamai Technologies in India, which has been promoting innovative solutions to solve India's water crisis. Great having you on the podcast with us, Neha.
Great. Thank you, Shri, for giving this opportunity. And it's my pleasure to be here and recording this podcast with you.
Neha, welcome to our podcast and looking forward to our conversation. It'll be great if you can introduce, Akamai as a company and the role that you play at Akamai before we get started.
To start with Akamai, we are a company that touches lives billions of times for billions of people a day. With the world's most distributed compute platform from cloud to edge, we make it easy for businesses to develop and run applications, while we keep experiences closer to users and threats farther away. That's why innovative companies worldwide choose Akamai to build, deliver, and secure their digital experiences. Talking about my role at Akamai, I've been here for 18 years. It's amazing to be with Akamai for 18 years. I've played several roles. I think I started as a sales executive. Again, I came through an acquisition of a company called Speedera Networks, which is again into content delivery. We're a very small office in Koramangala, and one day we got to know that Akamai has acquired Speedera, and that's how I came to Akamai. Since then, it's been a great journey. I started my career as a sales executive, moved on to doing a lot of different initiatives like account management, did programs like Customer for Life, moved into marketing for some time. And then now my current role is heading the innovation program for Akamai, which is called as Wizards. Now at Akamai, everybody plays different roles. I not only do the ideation program, but I'm also the co-chair for our CSR program in India.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Neha. And Wizards is definitely an interesting name for an innovation program. It would be great to hear from you a little bit about how does Akamai see CSR in general and how that has evolved over the years before we get into the more specific focus on innovation, just a broader understanding of what CSR means to Akamai and how has that evolved over the last few years?
Great question. So I think from the time I have joined Akamai, I've always seen CSR being the top priority for Akamai. Akamai believes in delivering business the right way, which means operating keeping our core values in mind all the time, which are integrity and trust, respect and inclusion, and giving back to the community in which we live in. So the company that has giving back as one of its core value, CSR is in our DNA. CSR in India started in 2013-14, whereas in Akamai, it started from the day when the company got launched. So we believe in giving back to the community, and Akamai provides a lot of support to volunteering activities, to providing to empowering employees in their journey of giving back to the society. So those are some of the pillars in which our CSR model is based on.
Wonderful. And I think it's always helpful when, when it's more closely associated with the core of the company. Then I believe then you can do more, strategic, exciting, kind of stuff. And you also talked about volunteering, which I think is definitely very, very interesting. So what has been the focus of Akamai CSR in India, especially since the law has come?
I'll just give you a little bit of history about how was Akamai evolved, right? So a lot of, and you can read a lot about Akamai on the internet, but there is one story that touches my heart all the time when we talk about innovation and CSR. Now, Akamai is based upon a very unique idea about solving congestion at the internet. Now, this idea also came through an MIT challenge that was run, and our co-founders picked up the challenge and solved it for internet. Now, the company that has innovation into their hearts, that's the base of how the company was built. It comes very naturally to all of us. Now, when we talk about CSR is not only delivering, doing big programs and, giving away to the society without thinking through it. It's very important for all of us to believe in the social impact that we are trying to create in the society. When I joined the CSR team, we always thought about, okay, what is the most burning issue? Where is that area where we can create the highest impact? And education is what we started with, when we thought about how can we impact the educational system in India, and not only by sponsoring few schools or running different programs. We wanted to develop a holistic approach in the educational system which can create impact for a longer time. And that's when we started with the program called Ganita Kalika, where we started basic mathematical skill development for children at a very, very young age. Now, that program gave us a lot of leverage in terms of, more than leverage, learnings in terms of what is the need of an hour, what are the different challenges societies face, and what are the different challenges some of the NGOs face when it comes to launching a program like that. So, education has always been our number one priority when it comes to planning our CSR events for throughout the year. Now, after education, we also started focusing on community development and education. And those became our top three pillars of CSR, which is education, community development, and inclusion. And that's how we started developing our strategic innovations around those areas.
Fantastic. And I've had the pleasure of knowing the work that Akamai does, for many years in CSR. And what pleasantly surprises me is how early on in the CSR game you all embraced innovation as an approach to solving problems. And now, when you tell me the story of Akamai, I can imagine why. But you started looking at innovation quite early on and working with interesting new ways of solving the problem, not just a traditional, work with an NGO, solve a program kind of an approach, but working in a more incubator, accelerator type of a model and moving into that space of funding innovation. So can you tell us how that transition happened? And also, was it easy to convince your leadership, your board, your internal stakeholders saying, hey, we need to put money into innovation and working with, let's say, new models and startups, which could be risky potentially as well. So tell us a little bit of how that transition happened.
That's a great question, Shri, again. And I have a story in terms of how did this idea even came to my mind that, hey, we got to move to our strength. We got to play on our strengths, right? At one point in time, when I kind of joined the CSR team, we were probably dealing with 20-25 NGOs, right? Now, every single time I went through the amount of work and program management and process that we had to follow, it was a humongous task, right? At times, there was this feeling that, hey, we are following the process, we are onboarding them, but we're not able to spend the time that NGOs deserve. Or sometimes it was hard for us to even measure the impact that we would create. Now, the problem of too many was definitely in front of us. As we matured in terms of getting a lot of learnings from Satwa as one of our partners, a lot of learnings from different organizations who were getting matured with their CSR initiatives, we also had in mind that we want a program that, while that can create a larger impact in the society and is also a need of an hour. And this happened to me at the airport. I was just watching all the different advertisements that I saw, and there were a lot of CSR initiatives that companies were running. And I realized that this actually creates an impact. When you're sitting idle and we're looking at a cause that is not only, that's actually creating a larger impact, is something that we wanted to do. And I always wanted to have a brand recall with it, right? And it was like, hey, if somebody thinks about this problem and who's going to solve it, can they associate Akamai with it? Now, that was that moment for me where I started thinking about, okay, which is that area where we are going to create a bigger impact. And I remember having a conversation with you, Shri, where we talked about, hey, we're doing a lot in education, in community development, inclusion, and I think whatever comes our way, we just take it on and we're trying to create an impact. But I still feel that we are not in the game. Technology is the strength of Akamai. Now, when technology and innovation mixes together, I think it can create a magic. And that's the magic I wanted to see when I run a program or when I run an initiative in Akamai. And that's when we had a very intense discussion with Satwa saying, hey, how do we create that impact? Now, Akamai leaders, they believe in doing the proper research, collecting the right data, having the right experience, so that, we can, whatever we want to do, we can start having clarity of thoughts, right? Now, I think being an Akamayan, it also gives me that power to be fearless. Don't worry about the result. Just get into it and try it, right? While I had that power and empowerment from my leadership team, I also had a lot of support that we got from Satwa. And then we started digging deeper into figuring it out, what is that SDG which has not been touched as much as others have been. And remembering having roundtable discussion with you, which went on for 4 hours for us to discuss, where do we want to go? Is it water? Is it education? Is it some other development? Is it inclusion, community development? And I think at that point in time, the situation of Bangalore and the news that we were getting every day is there'll be no water here, right? All of us will have to buy drinking water and there'll be no water in the taps. And I think that was creating fear in all of us, right? Okay, this is the need of an hour. This is the place where Akamai can create an impact with its experience that comes from the technology, with the kind of resources we have. Maybe this is the area we want to go. And that's when we started doing our research. We went on for 3 months of research to figure out what's the situation of water, what are the different companies, which are the different companies who are already in this area, and what kind of impact are they creating? Will we be able to survive in field which is so vast and huge? Will there be an impact that will even be noticeable, or are we going to drown ourselves? But I think we got a support from you and a lot of our senior leaders. We all agreed that, hey, water is the area that we want to go after, and we wanted to do a pilot with keeping water in mind for a year and see which is the area that we want to go into. Now, again, water, as I said, is so vast. We didn't know which area to pick. Should we go into urban water crisis, or is it water management, or is it tap water? Is it leakage? Is it agri? Now it was like a big plain field in front of us. Now the approach that we always take, which is, hey, we need to have data. We are going to go by what some of the research and the work that's already been done in that area. That helped us to bring clarity that, okay, we are going to pick up one area, go with a very focused approach, and then learn from what we can actually give back to the society. That was the approach. Now, as we started digging deeper, because my background is innovation and I was running this innovation program for Akamai Wizards, which is all about allowing people to ideate. Now, your idea can come from anywhere, whether your technical idea or non technical, we kind of give that flexibility to employees. And now I was trying to see if I can get that flexibility even in this program, wherein the idea could be small or big. We don't want to go after a big fish, or we don't want to go after an organization which is already doing really well and they just need funds. I think we have, all of us have a curious mind wherein we want to be playing an equal role. And I knew about that hey, it's not going to be easy for me to convince our leader that hey, here is a POC, here is a product, we just need to invest and help them develop a business model. We had to go with an approach where we start from the scratch. Now, we were able to I was able to get that experience of ideation program into how do we bring some of the accelerators or startups to into this game and help them to grow with Akamai when we are launching this program. So that's how we started. Now, it was not an easy journey. We did not know what is the, I mean, do we even have startups like that? And if there are, do they need support from organizations? How do we even connect with them? And how will this entire process work? Because I think if you see, the NGO process was very simple, right? You want to spend in community development, there is a school that's getting built, go put your funds there, and yeah, we all can be really happy with the outcome. But this was a very unique situation for us. And thanks to, again, Satwa, we had a lot of organizations that we shortlisted who were already working in this field. And we came across IIT Madras. Now, the good news is we had some of the alumni from IIT Madras who've been there, who've been in that campus, and IIT already had a name in the market and the trust that they've already developed. So we kind of leveraged that. And then we got introduced to ICCW, which just opened the eyes for us. When we heard Professor Nandakumar the first time about the kind of water issues we have in this country, we were blown away. And in my heart, I was happy that, okay, right, we are moving in the right direction. We are solving the biggest problem that we have in front of us. And that's when we started developing a concept about, hey, while we want to get into the space, but how? And that gave the birth to the program that we're talking about, which is innovation in the water space. We called it as an accelerator program for early stage innovators. Now, the reason I'm calling again early stage innovators is, as I said, Akamai is married to technology and innovation. And where there is technology, we feel very, very comfortable. And our leaders want to be part of the innovation that we are going to see in the future. Now, and the good news was ICCW already had an ecosystem which provided us access to a lot of startups who are doing really well, number one. But there were startups who were struggling. They had beautiful ideas, they had amazing concepts, but they did not know how to give that a proper shape, or how do you basically take it to the next stage. And I think those were the ones we wanted to support and pull them up as we start our program. We started interviewing startups. We took help from Satwa, we took help from a lot of engineering experts that we have in Akamai, because all of them were talking technology, and we wanted to make sure that we understand really well and we support them in the right way. Now, the process of filtration, when it started, I remember in a day we got like 100 applications, and we were overwhelmed with the kind of applications we were getting. It was all over the place. It was very, very overwhelming. But I think with our experience of being able to filter ideas who we think are executable, are ideas that we think will see the execution, are the ones that we picked up. And I can say we picked up the low hanging fruits, because one, it was something that we were trying for the first time, and we wanted to make sure that we're doing it the right way. And that's when we got an opportunity to filter for startups. And while I was talking to the startups, and I realized that all of them have a lot of potential. Rejecting them or not giving them the support at the right time is not only going to demotivate the entire ecosystem of startups, but I'm not sure if they will even pursue these ideas. That's when we came up with, while we have very limited funds in our CSR kitty, but there is lots that Akamai can actually give apart from funds, which is an opportunity to mentor them, an opportunity to speak to some of our business development folks or our technology or UX guys to figure out what should they do next. And that's when we launched something called as a boot camp. And I think in our first boot camp, we had around 10 participants who went through 1 week of exercise with professors who went through their plan. They gave them an opportunity to present. They were told which area you're strong in, which areas you need to develop on, and also give them opportunity to participate in different programs, etc. Right? But we were able to pick 2 startups to start with, and I think a lot of eyes on the program. We were doing it for the first time. We took a risk of starting with maybe 20% of our CSR fund with this program, but our 3-year vision was that, hey, if this goes well, we should be able to spend 40% of our funds on this flagship program and make it a CSR flagship program for India. So that's how we kind of started our journey with using technology as our strength, putting innovation into it, being using empathy in terms of, okay, if we don't do it, who else will do it for them? So choosing the right organization was also very important. And while we were onboarding them, a lot of learnings that we were getting from ICCW and Satva also played an important role in making this program successful.
Fascinating story, and glad to have been part of it and also watch it evolve. It's been really, really inspiring. And I think 2, 3 things that I pick up from what you're saying, Neha, is one, clearly the connect, was innovation and technology from an Akamai perspective. And water, because in the context of the city you were sitting in or the ecosystem that you're sitting in, you kind of went through and made that choice. And the whole thinking around not just bringing in money, but the passion for innovation, technology, and mentoring, because that significantly contributes beyond money many times to these early stage entrepreneurs, I think is absolutely wonderful, point. Before I move forward in terms of some of the learnings and some probably examples of startups that have worked well for you, I want to just go back and pause for a minute and ask you, saying, when you finally decided to sign off on this particular program, was there any resistance from your leadership saying, hey, should we reconsider this? Should we go in this direction? I know you said that, everybody was happy to try. They were excited by this because of the culture, but also from a compliance angle. While CSR law clearly says this is possible, there are many companies who look at it and say, hey, is this going to give me more compliance burden, to be able to kind of do this? So just want to get your view on, was there any discussion internally on why are we doing this rather than, move away from NGOs, because that's an opportunity cost? And 2, from a compliance angle, how did you kind of look at it? Was there any challenge, or were you able to kind of wade through that better?
I still remember when we talked about a flagship program, the first question that came on the table was, are flagship programs part of CSR? A lot of questions around, hey, what's in it for us? Are we going to move away from the supporting other causes like education, community development? People really enjoy being part of. I mean, we've been. This is a traditional CSR system, right? Wherein, as we said, that education is always number one priority for anybody you talk about, right? People enjoy going to the NGOs and supporting these little causes, right? And definitely there was questions about, is this under the law? Will we be compliant? Are we increasing our burden in terms of paperwork? Will this be approved? How will we reimburse the funds, etc.? But I think what also helps us is the passion and that passion to do something which is going to have a larger impact in the society. We don't want to go after something that's already that everybody is anyway doing, right? I mean, there are so many initiatives that government was doing in the education sector, and I think with all the Pradhan Mantri yojanas and all of those things that we were seeing in front, we saw that we're not nothing is going to fall apart if we change a track a little bit, right? That was one thought that some of us had in our mind, wherein there were others who felt very passionate about playing in the technology field, right? And when it comes to, hey, this is the time for us to not only innovate in the content delivery space or in the internet space, here is an opportunity for us to innovate in a space which is going to see a larger impact in the society, which is very unique. And I think anything that's very unique, people want to try it and see, hey, how is this going to play for us? But I think with the help of Satwa and some of our partners, we got a lot of clarity that how can this be a part of CSR, and how can we still achieve our CSR goals while we change our track a little bit or try to adopt new ways of utilizing our fund in the right way. At the same time, I think while we were taking risk, but we had a plan in place. We did not put all our eggs in one basket at the same time. We said that, hey, we're going to try with 10% of our funds. We started with two innovators to start with. And we also said that, hey, we're going to review it on a quarterly basis. Now, for us, this close monitoring, reporting back to the CSR board was very, very important, and to also make sure that we create the rhythm, we create that momentum, and talk about to all our employees as well. We were anticipating that, hey, when we say that, hey, we're going to launch our flagship program in water space, we knew a lot of folks would come back and say, hey, what will happen to the NGOs that we're already funding? What will happen to the programs that we've initiated? Are they going to die, or where will they get the funds from? We had to create that strategy wherein we say, hey, I think we also then started thinking about a proper exit strategy of the programs, right? You cannot indefinitely support a program forever, right? You need to make your partners also independent, that, hey, Akamai supported a program for 2 years. What do you do if Akamai is not in the picture? I think that risk management was another factor that we added to other programs that we were running, and we were making our partners more self sufficient, saying that, hey, in case Akamai exits out of a particular program, what is the strategy that you have to make sure that your program is sustainable? So I think sustainability was another word that got added to our programs. And thanks to we thinking about changing our route a little bit and doing a flagship program as well. So to summarize, yes, there were inhibitions, but I think we're very tight when it comes to creating processes, and that's what kind of helped us quite a bit. We had milestones, we had risk management, we had monitoring and control in place, and at the same time we also were reviewing this on a timely basis. We generate our CSR quarterly report, and it's not like a huge report which I have to invest a lot of time in, but just one email which talks to employees about what we've done, what our plans are, what is the success that we are seeing in each of the areas, what is the impact that we are creating. So keeping everybody up to date on what our next steps are and what we've achieved so far, I think that kind of created the confidence in people that, hey, we're trying something new. At the same time, we're also uh, uh, not dropping anything that we are already supporting.
Wonderful. I think the making a big bet, but moving in a very calculated kind of manner so that you manage the risk along the way, I think is an important learning, if any corporates want to kind of move in this direction. Coming back to the accelerator itself, I know over the last few years, you've now made this a bigger part of your CSR. You've supported many startups. What are those one or two innovations that you're very excited by, proud of, or of associating with them, and where you feel, wow, this is interesting, stuff that we have done?
I think I've been amazed every time I look at how many startups we've supported. And I just like the diversity of things that people are doing, right? I remember Jal Jivika first time when they talked about how water conservation was all about being able to get clean drinking water, and I want to make sure that everybody in India should have enough water to drink and consume, and they should live happily. But when I was exposed to how do you support aqua, or how do you support agriculture through recycling of water, I think that was pretty innovative for me. And Jal Jivika was one organization which was kind of doing a lot of innovation in that space, and trying to share their stories with a lot of farmers who would then benefit out of it. And not only will their business prosper, but I think the quality of aqua would also improve. That was pretty fascinating. I never thought that there could be a robo which can get into the pipes and actually figure out the leakages and come back and give us the data. Now, when that presentation was done to us, I always had one question in mind, which is like, okay, we'll find the leakage, but who's going to fix it, right? And I think that was a point where I was getting stuck, and I was telling them, hey, can you also look for a startup who will go and fix it? Now, again, it's because it's very easy for us to hear it out and then give solutions, but I really appreciate the fact that we're using AI and ML in technology, and using that technology to create social impact. And that's what we see with the startups today. I think one of the startup Solinas that we've supported, it's nice to see that they've got funding now, and that they're doing really well, and the product will be out in the market. So we've seen a lot of success stories. There are some which could have done better, and we continue to mentor them. We are also committed to supporting them. Doesn't matter, we generally give them a 6 months of time to generate a POC and create the impact. But at the same time, we don't take our hands off and say, okay, now our contract is done and you can move on. Akamai is still committed to providing them the mentoring. We still work with ICCW to create a consortium of startups who are in this field, and how can they mutually support each other, right? The learnings that our cohort 1 startups have had, how can they actually mentor our cohort 2 and cohort 3? That's the future looking goal that I have for startups. The idea is not that by the end of 5 years we should have had supported 50 startups. We may have had worked with maybe 20, but can those 20 work with each other and create the ecosystem wherein, hey, if Solinas needs FFEM, can they work mutually together and create a new innovation altogether? I think that would be a win for me. And that's the kind of platform Akamai wants to provide through their innovation program, where people come together and, create a larger social impact by working in collaboration.
Wonderful. That clearly means that you want to continue this flagship program.
Oh, absolutely. It is. I mean, if I can talk about the numbers, we started with 10%. The second year we did 20%, and this year we're doing 40% of our CSR is going into our flagship program. And we already have, I think for this cohort, we've already selected 6 startups to go with. This is going to be the largest cohort. And because of the 3 years experience we've had, 6 doesn't sound much to me. In the beginning, if somebody would have said, hey, 6 startups, it's a huge commitment, meeting them, talking to them, reviewing their plans, etc. But now I think, again, as I said, we're very strong when it comes to creating process. And as my title is program management, I want to make sure that everything is, you got to give them clarity. Once you have your milestones drafted, you have the clarity, and they're open to learnings and being able to get to put in the feedback that's been provided to them. And I think that makes it very easy for us to work. So absolutely, very, very happy with the way we are running our programs. Like every time we meet them, there is so much of learning, not only for them, but for us, in terms of how they talk to us every time, go back, they make the changes and come back with a revised and a better proposal. So that's very interesting.
What, from an ecosystem point of view, other corporates, people like Atal Innovation Mission, universities, how do you think as an ecosystem we can do this more and better? Because clearly there is, like you have discovered, larger impact can be created by bringing in more innovative solutions, technology-led solutions, to solving most of the societal, environmental, problems out there. So, what should we do as an ecosystem? What would you like the ecosystem to do? To do this in a much more structured, better way.
The one word that comes to my mind after listening to your question is collaboration. The problem is so huge, and I don't think that just one or two, corporations can solve it. I think this country is in a very unique position where we have the best of innovations, the best of engineers, the best of technology, the field that we can play in. It's so fertile, and if we are able to build those consortium where corporations can come together for a bigger cause and create a bigger social impact, I think that would be a win-win for all of us. When it comes to collaboration, we not only it not only gives an opportunity for us to learn from each other, and I think it also creates a space for smaller organization who wants to come up and play in this field. I feel very satisfied. I feel very accomplished when I go back and look at what we've achieved as an organization in CSR through our flagship. It's very heartening that a program that we were just testing and seeing whether it will work has taken up a great shape. I think the next step would be to bring in a lot more organizations and work together and create a bigger impact in the society. The learnings for us has been start small, be fearless. Mistakes happen, but you always have an opportunity to correct them. But try it. I think it makes a difference, and it'll make a bigger difference if organization starts thinking and starts to collaborate and bring together to make a difference in this world.
I think what is also, very unique in the story that I've heard from you today is the fact that, I mean, we've seen many different function heads leading CSR, from marketing to HR to corporate affairs, and others. This is a very unique case, I feel, where a head of innovation is heading CSR, and leading the CSR in an organization, which I think explains, also how much you've all been able to do. Clearly, the passion, Neha, that Akamai has for innovation is very visible from the work you do and just the conversation we just had. And we really hope that you spend more time in airports, to keep coming up with newer ideas, and we are able to actually create that, collaboration between organizations. So thank you very much, for the conversation today, and good luck for all the wonderful work that you're doing in this space.
Great. Thank you so much for having me here. And while you were saying that, hey, I'm able to run the internal innovation program for Akamai at the same time, creating impact in CSR world as well. Now I'm thinking, for me personally, it'll be a great win if I'm able to have a couple of our startups present at our Wizards finale. So basically what happens is we have ideas coming in from the employees. They go through different rounds of selection, and the top 25 ideas gets to go through the presentation round. And from those 25, we select 8 ideas that gets presented to Tom Layton himself along with our board members. Now, if I can get one slot to have one of our CSR startup present and talk about the innovations in water, I think that'll be a great win for us. So yeah, maybe that could be my goal for this year, to have internal innovation program and have CSR also come together and work in collaboration.
Oh, absolutely. And that's definitely a wonderful opportunity for the two worlds to kind of come together and, and understand each other. And our hope is that your tribe grows, in the CSR ecosystem. So thank you for spending time with us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
We hope you enjoyed this episode with our expert guest, and we thank Atal Innovation Mission for partnering with us on this series of conversations for the CSR ecosystem. Please make sure to subscribe, like, and follow us and explore more of our content from Sattva Knowledge Institute, all linked in the episode description.